Hi garden friends! Are you ready to transform your small garden spaces into something beautiful? Well, as a seasoned gardener, I can tell you this. It's not about size, it's about a strategy. By using compact plants, layering textures, and creating vertical structure to your small garden space can turn it into a real showstopper. In this video, I will show you several examples of how I used this idea in my own small garden spaces. So let's go, shall we? Let's start with my front flower bed near my porch. Now, this has kind of been a work in progress, and so I start out with low-growing plants here, intermediate, and then to taller plant material towards the back. And this beautiful Brunnera has these beautiful blue blooms on it. And look at that hellebore. I can't believe that it's still blooming. Wow. Now this is a potted plant that I have elevated, and it fills in this space without having to crowd these two plants here. Now I've also got some decorative garden items, which that's not for everyone, but I think it gives visual interest to the garden. And in the front here, I have these low-growing apple blossom impatiens. And then this is a Feather Falls grass, and this is a sedum. Now the sedum and the sparkling amethyst are both in pots, and those can be moved to different areas of the garden. And also I have this little lamb's ear that just popped up, and that will fill in this area. And these were from some bluebells. And this beautiful sword fern has just been a fantastic addition to this garden, in my opinion. This garden gets morning sun and afternoon shade. And I've also got my potted plant here with my pink wedgewood and another Stormburst is the name of that. And there's some other things there in that pot that will be blooming soon. So I just wanted to start out with this area and show you how much a small garden can have a big impact on your landscaping. Now, this is a sedum here, and then like I said, these are impatiens, but you can see the different leaf structures and the contrasting textures just between those three plants there. And what's wonderful is that this topiary is a evergreen, and it will look beautiful all winter long. And then these hellebores typically bloom in late winter and early spring, so I'm surprised to see that they're still blooming now. I mean, gosh, it's towards the end of May. But that is a good example of how a small garden can have a big impact in your landscape. I love it. This small garden is a little larger. I've got some sedge here, and this is a oak leaf hydrangea. And I started these foxgloves a couple of years ago. I'm glad to see that they're blooming. I've also got a hebe, Australian mint bush, another hebe, and a couple of boxwoods here, and some yarrow that I started from seed. I've also got some new peonies that I started. Look at these. These are alliums. I'll have to look up the name. I'll pop it on the screen. And these beautiful roses, they are called Patience Rose. And I had meant to pop them out of the pot, but time got away from me this year. So I'll be doing that in the fall. So this is another example. Now I will probably be moving this yarrow here. I didn't realize it was going to get that tall. And these alliums, I had no idea they were going to get this tall either. And I have no idea what this is, but it's really neat. This is my Stewartia pseudocamellia, and I planted that last September. So it's supposed to bloom in June, and I'm pretty excited about that. So we just have a few little things here, and this was kind of an experimental garden, really. But it's probably about 20 feet in circumference would be my guess. And like I said, some of this plant material I'll be moving. But I just wanted to show you. Now this is really the first year for this garden. I did a little bit in it last year, and this was all wood chips from the trees that were pruned at my home last year. Or was that 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. So there's that little garden. Like I said, it's a little bit of a mishmash, but it's kind of an experiment. Now this part of the garden is just an extension of what's over here. However, you can take this in a small section, as I've done here, and I've included some lupin that I had to move, so it might not bloom this year. And this is sea holly, and look at the texture on those leaves. It's gonna get amazing blue blooms. And this is some of my seedlings, my snapdragons. And I've got lady's mantle back here and these beautiful alliums. Look how unusual that is. There's another one there. And then here's a couple of foxgloves that I grew from seed last year. And then this is my miscanthus here. So I also included in this area some native irises that are just dying back now. And this is Baptisia, and intermixed with that is lady's mantle. And this is a hydrangea. It's called a white wedding hydrangea. And these are Veronica Speedwell. Got 3 of them here. So this gives you a smaller scale from a garden that's larger. However, this garden, I think, stands on its own, and it's considered to be, you know, pretty small space here. So this gives you some ideas of plant material that you can use, and these will get spikes on them, purple spiky flowers on them. I started this like last week. It was kind of a catch-all situation. But this isn't really that large. It's probably about 15 by 4. And I'm going to be filling all this in here. I'm going to an after-hours nursery tour tonight that specializes in shady plants. Yeah, but this grows underneath this beautiful redwood tree in my neighbor's yard. So this would be considered a small space gardening as well, in my opinion anyway. And if you want to talk about very small space, you could always talk about container gardening. That's just a heliotrope there, and this is a sparkling amethyst, and this is ornamental oregano. And this is what one of my containers looked like last year. Beautiful. I hope this has given you some inspiration for your own small garden space today. And please like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this video. And I'll catch you in the next one.